laughing.
All right, guys, welcome. We are about to go through the 2025 English Language VCA exam, top to bottom, with 4 of our tutors. Like the whole team, the whole squad has pulled up to go through this exam. First and foremost, we've got a text on Frank Green. Written email delivered to Hillary, purchased a Frank Green product owned by Benjamin Young. Frank Green is an Australian reusable cup and bottle company. Logos there, of course, the classic Frank Green bottles that we see all around. You know, the classic, the Lauriston girls going to the Turak shopping center, that type of Frank Green we're talking, right? The classic, you see it on the Clayton Monash, yeah, see, we got Chloe with her Frank Green in the top left. Abby, Tori, what are your thoughts?
I don't own a Frank Green. Low-key, interesting text. I don't know, I kind of would have preferred it if it was the AC because I thought it was actually like quite a fun text. Yeah, fun written text. I think there's it was a very like specific AC in a sense of I feel like they were like targeted to like specific elements of meta language or the study design, and then we only really got that 5 marker at the end to kind of stretch out and be like, okay, now just go broad elements of context. But no, I thought it was, yeah, that was good. It's kind of my thoughts.
Yeah, and the SAQs were modal verb linked to a purpose, 2 instances of information flow and explaining the effect of it and linking it to purpose, semantic patterning, syntactic patterning, each linked to a function, 4 marks. Only 4 questions, by the way. And then a register linking to multiple purposes and intents and also link it to context. Yeah.
I mean, side note is say I feel like it was kind of rough for the way they put in cultural context is such a like it was put in the sentence up. And I think that's such a thing we skim over because we think it's just like include meta language. So I feel like that was kind of a mean way to write it, like easy to skim over and accidentally forget to leave out cultural context.
Absolutely. And it happens, right? But look how many ideas there are here. Register to purpose, to intent, to cultural context, which in and of itself is a part of context. So that's kind of the logic behind having that breadth of, a high breadth and set of examples, the 4 to 5, to really be able to give the examiner a good perspective and a good spread of ideas so that you can score the highest possible mark. In terms of question 1, where are we? 1 modal verb linked to 1 purpose. I mean, I'm sure there's, like, did you guys have trouble with that? Tell us in chat. Did you guys have trouble with that question? We also made waves at Climate Week, contributing to vital discussions, commenced on making our products. We reached new heights with your incredible support. Let's face it, we're a little pet obsessed. We opened 2 stores. We're gearing up to launch our first Australian store. We will continue our commitment. Done, right? So, I mean, really, line 32, this we will continue our commitment is more than enough to get that mark, right? It shouldn't be problematic, right? This was, yeah, you only needed 1 modal verb, and they're asking to connect it to a purpose, right? So the modal verb will, and you could even be specific. The high modal verb will, was it line 32 as well? Am I tripping? Yeah, line 32 expresses a commitment to sustainability through Frank Green's environmental initiatives. Almost, let's have a look. What are the actual purposes at play here? Deliver you premium, innovative, and of course sustainable solutions that you'll want to use again and again, meeting the needs of their consumers, right? In a way, it also kind of, they're standing on business about their expertise. We will continue to, our commitment to deliver you our premium products. And they're also reestablishing their authority of like saying, we're Frank Green, our cups are great. We already deliver you premium and innovative and sustainable solutions, and we will continue to do that, right? So there is a mix of establishing, establishing authority, expertise, and meeting consumer needs by almost, by framing their production logistic, or their production and design as successful prior to this email with no plans to cease, right? Something of that nature. So, you know, it's already really good. We're going to keep following through with it. Line 32, so on and so on. Chloe, any thoughts? Do you guys want to add anything to that? Is that easy? Yeah.
I've got a thought to add.
Yeah, go.
My thought is that I feel like usually, and this is kind of me just being a negative Nancy, but usually if they ask you to do something, they will like say if they ask you for 2 examples of something, there'll be like 4 in the text. So I find it quite interesting that and a student said that you were really struggling to find modal verbs. Will's like kind of the only one there between 29 and 39. And I just find it interesting because I think usually if they ask you for 1, they'll have at least 2 there that you can choose from.
For sure. And that's the limit. It's between lines 29 to 39. Is it strictly between lines 29 to 39?
Yes, I believe so.
Okay, beautiful. And that is really, I mean, it's the first one I saw that really poignantly.
Yeah, I actually think it is the only one, which is, could you have used, no, you couldn't have used like the you will from you'll, like that would have been silly. So
yeah, I mean, I guess you can, but that's also like the same.
it's the same thing. So yeah, someone said, can you use it to clarify? Yes, you can. That would be fine.
Sure. And that works too. And again, guys, there's way more than one way to skin a cat, right?
Oh, for sure.
You know, also clarifies, etc.
Do you think like here you've done establishing authority, expertise, and meeting consumer needs? You know how it says, well, I don't know if it actually says.
No, I'm just giving all the options to the students.
okay.
They could have said all these things.
One because it specifies one purpose, so they should have only put one.
Absolutely, yeah. But it's kind of like, I'm just trying to show you guys all the different things you could have said or could have thought of, you know?
For sure.
Then information flow. Explain the effect of one single instance of information flow.
So you would give 2 and explain 1, yeah.
Sorry?
It says identify 2 examples of information flow between lines 20 and 33, and then describe the impact of one of these examples.
Between lines
20 and 33.
Beautiful. And explain the effect of these and link to purpose?
Doesn't actually say link to purpose.
Oh, right. Okay. Explain the effects. So effectively, we're probably going to be linking to purpose in some way, right? Thoughts, guys? Let's have a look at
my brother asks, could you have done 2 examples of front focus and then explained 1?
I would say you might get away with it, but it's better to not.
That's what I said. I was like, you probably shouldn't have, but it doesn't say 2 different examples. Like, it doesn't, but I was like, yeesh. Guess we'll see.
For sure. Okay. What do you guys think? What do you see here, information flow-wise? Tori, Abby, Chloe.
There's definitely front focus on a few of the sentences. You've got alongside partly Australia on 20, 27.
Absolutely. Line 20 itself even.
Yeah.
Line 20 itself. And is there any end focus? I mean, there's a lot of information flow, even in the use of the M dashes, the hyphens, because let's face it, we're a little pet obsessed. This little, almost like a little infix, you know, let's face positioned in the middle there with your incredible support, right? Really specifying that it's with your incredible support. And in a way, information flow can kind of be anything to do with the order of the words. You can basically pick out anything from subject, verb, object, complement, adverbial, and say, okay, they're strategically using this word class or this word class in this order, here, here, or here, right? Hold on. Line 29, right? Ooh, back here. So line 29, front focus, or, you know, examples of you know, with your support, comma, or, you know, mention of anything to do with the strategic ordering of words in a sentence, usage of commas and hyphens or em dashes to separate ideas and parts of the clause, right? And what about semantic patterning and syntactic patterning? Let's have a look. Was there a line limit on any of that? So question 1 was between lines 29 to 39. Question 2 was between 20 and 33. What about for the rest, guys? Were there more line limits?
No.
No? Okay. So the rest are all just free ball from wherever. Look, This is not harder than the other VCA exams. I would say it's actually the easiest in the last 3-4 years. What do you think, Chloe?
Yeah, I said that other than the information flow question, which would have tricked a lot of students up, the rest of it was pretty standard. Like, if you were familiar with syntactic and semantic patterning, which you should have been, and modal verbs.
And by the way, I don't mean to be a stickler again and bring you guys back to this traumatic table that I've shouted at you all about. But like, man, look at this, right? There's a reason why you need to know everything on the table. Everything. I mean everything, right? And notice how they didn't ask you for any more than like 2 examples, because a front focus and an end focus would have done the job, right? And ironically, Tori, whether intentional or not, has written it with front focus and a comma like it's got front focus, and end focus after the comma like it's got end focus, right? Anyhow, right? So as long as you talked about some ordering of ideas or commas or em dashes, you would have been fine. And then, of course, the whole point of this table, everything from semantic patterning in the top right, everything about syntactic patterning here, there's only 3, PAL, PAL, parallelism, antithesis, and listing, right? Now let's find syntactic patterning. So parallelism, antithesis, or listing. We will continue our commitment. We open 2 stores with your incredible support. Okay, I don't know if that's parallelism per se. Is there any antithesis at play? What an amazing environmental impact. It was our 10th year creating products that are beautiful.
This is of the it says like buy now, pay later in the pictographic part.
Oh, beautiful. Beautiful. Buy now. Absolutely. Absolutely. That's exactly what they're looking for. 100%. Oh, and here, no robots, just people. Antithesis. Real service, no robots, just people. Even that is a form of parallelism, which that's a reach. I wouldn't have even risked that. You just say, okay, there's an antithesis there. No robots, just people. Sustainability is at the heart of what we do. Bang, semantic patterning right there. Beautiful. That's, buy now, pay later, or no robots, just people. Syntactic wise, buy now, pay later, or no robots, just people. And semantic, sustainability, is that what it was? Is at the heart of what we do, is at the heart. And if you've actually done all the VCA exams and really focused, there was also another instance, there was also another instance where they had pretty much the same metaphor in one of the years, like maybe 8 years ago, where they had something about something being at the heart of what someone does, right? Do you think the state would have said that dot points is listing? No. The listing is lunch range, switch lid, hinged cup. Correct. That's listing. Line
38, I can't.
Line 10, let's have a look. Line 10. Yes, that is absolutely listing. Lunch range, switch lid, hinged cup. As long as you say that it is, or, here, I'll even add it, or line 10, line 10, as long as you link to the omission of conjunction and for lexical efficiency, right? Or even just lexical efficiency, you're fine. And then semantics wise, it's at the heart of what we do. That's idiomatic. But if something is at the heart of what you do, sustainability is at the heart of what we do. It's almost, it's a metaphor in and of itself. That would have been good enough. The thing is, figurative language a lot of the times overlaps. Something that's a metaphor, if it's commonly used, it becomes an idiom. Something that's an idiom is largely always some form of metaphor, right? Because an idiom requires inference. And would the utterance of greener be a metaphor on line 18? Let's check. Frank Green, reflecting our commitment to creating a greener, more sustainable future. Not necessarily. That's still quite literal. Look, it might work because creating a green future is very abstract, but they could literally just mean, you could envision that as the trees. You know what? It still conjures up figurative imagery. so it's acceptable. It conjures up figurative imagery through semantic patterning, so that's fine. But as long as you picked a feature, you guys needed to mention either, again, idioms, right? Metaphors, or figurative language, or some sort of simile or personification there, right? Now, register linking to purpose, intent, and cultural context. Before we actually get into this, right? The cultural contextual factors here, guys, what do you think they are? And making waves at the climate conference is, yes, that is semantic patterning. That is also idiomatic. Making waves is definitely a metaphor. You're making, what does that even mean? I'm making waves. So it has to be figurative. It conjures figurative imagery. Remember, for anything semantic patterning, you want to use the phrase, something like conjures figurative imagery in the mind of the reader, right? Something of that sort. Now, guys, what do you think of the cultural contextual factors for a text like this? Respect, okay, sure. The actual sustainability that we value in Australia, taking care of our land, country, cleanliness, right? Right? And social and positive social change is valued. And look, I don't know about, wait, hold on. What about it is laid back? Also, think about it. Hi, Hillary. Thank you for making 2024 spectacular. Again, sending this to Hillary, okay? What does that say about our cultural context? We value taking care of our customers from a business standpoint. It's, you know, it's quite personalized. It's quite emotional. You know, it's like, it's very almost like heartwarming to receive an email like that. Personalized email to a client who happens to have bought a Frank Green cup is quite caring. And that says a lot about our respect towards others, right? And what else? And what else? Produces alternative solutions to single plastic. And yeah, and Benjamin Young is the guy who made it. And also at the same time, let's have a look. Is there anything about, you know, paying their workers really well or taking care of Indigenous people? I mean, God knows, they always try to sneak in something about First Nations people to every exam, right? So let's have a look. Launched exciting new products and categories, collaborated with some of Australia's most prestigious brands. Okay, so we value homegrown brands, right? Like the fact that they're making it all about Australia. We value our country, right? We value our country and value working with brands that are homegrown culturally, right? So cultural relevance instead of outsourcing, made our mark right here in Australia. Again, right here in Australia, that we really value our country, the land that we're on. United with Parley for the oceans to combat the devastating impact of plastic in our oceans. Right, again, caring for the ocean. Also, culturally, we are surrounded by oceans. And in Australia, all oceans are owned by the government, so, you know, and count as effectively national parks. You know, surfing culture, swimming culture, right? We love, you know, we love the outdoors as Australians. You guys have to understand what it means to be Australian, that emotional intelligence to grasp something like that. 400,000 for our partner charities. Again, we care to be charitable, equitable, egalitarian, right? I'll add that. We care to be charitable, equitable, and egalitarian society that we live in. Does that make sense? And so link all of that to the language examples and look, thank you at the end. We couldn't have done it without you. We appreciate you have a choice and are grateful you choose us. Nice. And also, like, a lot of countries don't have laws for managing email preferences. You know, arguably it's like, hey, in Australia, we're respectful enough to give you the option to opt out, for example. Oh wow, there's a lot of questions. Could we say a degree of professionality? Absolutely. Absolutely. Because at the same time, they have to balance their professionality. And it's informal, but at the same time, it's also formal. So you would have had to mention both those perspectives. I've been talking for a while. Chloe, Abby, thoughts?
I think the questions you're reading are the ones we're answering. Someone said it was semi-formal. Yeah, that seems valid. Sure. It's mostly like professional, but also has some informal elements. The person who asked about the extra space, I'm praying for you. For the future of your exams, right, guys? If you're going to use the extra space, right, go see extra space. What else do we have here?
Yeah, just touching on that, guys, because the reason is they get scanned to teachers, I'm pretty sure. Like, they don't actually get a hard copy of them, to my knowledge. So you want to make sure that they know that they have to scan the page. I actually don't know how it works. I just know they get scanned. So
For sure. For
For
sure.
the 5-mark register question, it's less about like breaking it down. It's more of a holistic thing. Like totally, you would have had to do 3, and you would have had to link various places. You would have had to bring in, at least 2, 3 purposes. Are intense and definitely at least something on cultural context, but it's a little bit more like holistic in that sense. Like you can't tick off, but if you covered all of those things, then you've done enough to get 5, essentially, is like what they're saying, if you do it well.
Yeah, I would say minimum of three examples with different meta language linked to each of cultural context, purpose, and register, and you must have mentioned that this text has multiple registers to get 4 marks. You must, right? And again, they don't give you information for no reason. Non-standard capitalization as per the company style.
Yeah, see, why would they have said that?
They put it at the top, man. It's more important than the whole transcript. For God's sake, mention it. They've like handed it to you on a plate. Also, guys, if you're really clever, you could have used this email as a contemporary example in your essay for one of them. You know what I mean? Like you could have said, Frank Green in 2025 emailed their client Hillary, using this and that type of language. And then you would have, the job would have been way easier. I'm just saying.
wouldn't recommend it though, personally.
I wouldn't do it.
It's risky. If you guys were really lost and you had no examples, but I'm hoping you all had your examples in the right words. You know what I mean? No, I thought they said the non-standard bit so that students don't analyze it. Hell no.
They're just making sure that you don't put your hand up and go, I think there's been a typo.
For sure. Now, cleanliness, positive social change. Yeah, so that's all good. That's all in place. As long as these are the bigger ideas they want to see, by the way. This is the type of stuff they want to see. Like, even if we keep looking here, like, no robots, just people. Like, clearly, maybe, people prefer interacting with people for products or services rather than robots. And they appeal to that. And also there's the paralinguistic feature of the image, the almost the emojis at play here. They might contribute to an informal register at the same time. The non-standard capitalization is part of their company's culture. And the italics at the end. Thoughts, guys? Abby, Chloe, Tori, I can't see your camera. Is Tori here? Maybe not.
Yeah, I'm here.
Are you driving? Drive safe, dog.
Yeah, I am.
Valid. I feel you. Italics at the end, communicating almost like the company's motto, maybe, right? Motto and values, right? Or the emojis in the boxes, right? With the smiley faces, informal, right? There's a lot of depth to this. I really like it. I actually really like it. This recording is going to go on YouTube. It'll be up forever. Don't worry.
On YouTube?
Are we not allowed to put this on YouTube?
Oh no, that's so fine. That's so fine.
Whatever. I just thought we'd give it to the world.
People can see me.
No, it happens, guys.
So good.
I don't have to put it up. That's not.
No, it's okay. Yeah, this is going to be useful commentary for everyone.
Yeah, exactly.
It's really useful for the state, How long? No, so it'll be up forever. Don't worry. It's like the social imprint is there. I promise. Yeah, that's all good. The SAQs are fine. Do you guys want to move to the AC?
Yeah.
Shall we? Okay. So I might actually move this stuff higher. But yeah, you obviously, if it's asking about register and there's multiple registers, mentioning that there are multiple registers is pivotal, right? Mention, that's why we say mention all the registers that you can find, plural, right? In all the demo docs, man. Go back to it. Section B. Kelvin Kong, Professor Kelvin Kong, a Warringy man receiving the NIDOC Person Award. Now, just for context, Kelvin Kong. There we go. ENT surgeon, First Nations person, works in New South Wales or Royal Children's Hospital, University of New South Wales. He's been around. The guy knows what he's doing. He's clearly an expert. He's a professor. I mean, it speaks for itself. And yes, if you're in year 11, the resources will stay up. Don't worry. I think they're trying to convey that it's a stylistic feature, not a linguistic feature, so that they don't want you to analyze it. Because why would they point that out? No, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It still makes the text more informal. It still contributes to the register of the text in some way, right? It's a choice. It's a conscious choice for that company, Frank Green, to use the non-standard capitalization. So when they're pointing it out to you, arguably, maybe there's information that they're giving you to talk about how it's part of their aesthetics or it's part of their style of communication. But if they're putting information there, like when they put NIDOC, National Aboriginal Islander Day Observance Committee, it would probably be good to maybe mention that and link the idea of an observance committee and how that culturally, or I don't know, links or intertwines with the content in some way, right? What do you think, Abby?
Yeah, sorry, I was actually quickly trying to go to previous exams.
Yeah.
They will always do this in the background context, and usually it's like actually the inverse. It's kind of a nod to like, hey, you might want to think about this. I think in this instance, for the Frank Green one, because there was already so many other kind of cool things you could analyze, it's not as important. But a lot of the time, whenever they do something in that background, intro paragraph, it's actually more of like, hey, be mindful, analyze this. And it can often come in really handy. So my guess would be it was actually for the inverse, but I wouldn't stress about it either which way.
For sure. And remember, it's an acceptance speech in front of a live audience. Okay, so I'm already thinking, chances are it's a speech that was previously written, but when we read it, we'll be able to tell how maybe meticulously pre-prepared it is. Or maybe it comes across as really spontaneous based on the prosodics, right? And it's spoken, so you better have discussed all the prosodics, you better have discussed spoken discourse features and maybe strategies. But if it's a speech, then it's a monologue, but there's an audience with applause. So an audience with laughter. Right? So at some point, the audience should have been mentioned maybe once as a small proportion of what's being said. And it's giving you background info to use. NIDOC Awards recognize outstanding contributions, okay? Aboriginal Torres Strait Islander peoples make to improve the lives of people in their communities and beyond, promote Aboriginal Torres Strait Islander issues in the wider community. Kelvin Kong graduated from UNSW, became the first Indigenous surgeon, Australia's first Indigenous surgeon. That's a big deal. That is a huge deal. Like, this guy is the Don. He's a G. And his father was Dr. Kong Chiok Seng, a Malaysian Chinese man. His mother, Grace Kinsella, pioneering Indigenous registered nurse. So he came from that medical background, and he had innovations in hearing health. Okay, particularly working with children. Okay, so it's quite emotionally complex. It's actually a really rich text. I really like it. What do you guys think? I just realized it said he was advocating for the hearing health of First Nations people, but he's actually advocating for the hearing health of all people, sure. This is going to go until maybe, I don't know, this section of it, probably till 8:15, and then maybe till 9 if there's like year 11s that actually want feedback on work. I don't know. Yeah.
The student that just that said about like advocating for hearing health for all people or just First Nations people, I wouldn't stress too much because in a way, if you're someone getting up for a speech and you're advocating for all people, if we're looking at it like kind of in that equity lens, you're kind of implicitly advocating for people that are kind of like least likely to be on the level playing field. So in a way, he kind of is advocating for First Nations people in particular. So it's probably not that bad that you particularly identified that audience. So I wouldn't stress.
For sure. And again, like, we've had these conversations about like First Nations peoples are genuinely disadvantaged. They genuinely don't have enough medical support. I've even shown, I don't know which time slot it was, but I definitely showed the workforce shortage map at some point. And I was like, this is why the First Nations complications are so serious and they're taken so seriously. And they might give you something about First Nations people. I mean, one of the final things we discussed was every year they try to work something into the exam that is about First Nations peoples, right? And his identity as a surgeon and the professor, his identity as a First Nations person, man, his identity as someone who works with children, his necessity to be highly emotionally aware and intelligent and caring. But the other part of his scholarly academic work, right, is the first person pronoun our on line 33, a diacritic reference, as it specifically says in the background info, that the audience is First Nations peoples. So the our is specifically referencing First Nations children. How bad our kids' ears are. Actually,
Be parents.
actually, I think you're right. I think it is. I think when it says our kids' ears, it means the kids in the Indigenous community. Would you agree with that, guys? Abby? Chloe?
Well, yes, but the our is like the people in the.
For sure. And given that the live audience is predominantly made up of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people, then it's like, sorry?
Then it's them, yeah.
Exactly right. So the person who put that in the Q&A, fantastic pickup. Who was that? Well done. Really happy with
definitely cooking, definitely onto something.
cooking then. Fuck, I'm so happy. I'm so proud. Well done, guys. We did it, man. We did it. For a doctor, his speech is terrifyingly incoherent. Remember, he's a surgeon. A lot of surgeons become surgeons because they should only interact with patients when they're asleep. Best believe. A lot of people become surgeons because they only want to interact with patients when they're asleep. In fact, in most surgeries, the patient's face is covered anyway. They don't want to look. They don't even. Man, all my friends that want to become surgeons, with all due respect and love to all of them, they're very different to those that want to become pediatricians. You know what I'm saying? I was going to write about diacritics, but isn't that cohesion and coherence in written text? You didn't have to write about diacritics. You didn't have to write about diacritics. That's fine. We'll talk about how to approach this and what to write. Don't worry. Yeah, it's a great text. There's a lot to discuss, a lot to analyze. Abby, Chloe, Tori, I'm not sure. I don't want to disturb Tori because she's
no, it's okay. I just parked.
Easy. Yeah, thoughts? Anything stand out to you that was particularly poignant?
In slight defense, I guess, I did just put this in the chat though. I don't necessarily think it's that incoherent. I think we just have a lot of filled pauses. And I think this is one of the times, and honestly, usually I'm advising against this advice, but it's one of the times where you're going to be linking to perhaps like spontaneity and things like that. Actually, but that doesn't necessarily automatically correspond to a lack of register. I just want to point that out to you guys because I think that's quite a common thing that we tend to perhaps like conflate a little bit. So, for example, we still have relatively like elevated, so to speak, lexis, right? So, like, we have some kind of
acknowledging.
More complex clauses, like we live in a country and I'm accepting this award on the background of appalling ear health statistics is quite
sophisticated.
Spoken actually. So, it's just regards to register and then regards to what we're seeing here in the sense of how to read and imagine this voice of the speaker in our heads.
And when I was reading this transcript, one of the things that I thought about was it's quite candid, emotional, almost vulnerable to be giving a speech like this about a topic that's highly pertinent to his community who is suffering. Okay, so to be fair to him, maybe he's nervous, maybe he's a little anxious, maybe he's a little emotional, maybe he's saying things that he previously didn't plan to say that just feel right to him to say in that moment. You have to give him the benefit of the doubt and be emotionally aware to describe it as a magnanimously, emotionally significant event. Okay. In terms of tenor and his connection with the crowd, I wrote about how the pauses showed he was choosing his words carefully. Yeah, okay, and of course he wants to inspire the community of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people. Absolutely, well done.
I think that's a really nice link of the idea of like it's intentionally really thinking about this quite important moment for him.
Absolutely, absolutely. Chloe, any thoughts? Tori?
Or if someone's mentioned this, I'm also answering my students' questions that they're sending me. But there's lots of like anecdotes. He brings in his own anecdotes, which I think is interesting and like something I haven't seen a lot before, and sort of like humanizes him a lot.
And using their proper nouns, really, like, you know, maybe you're watching this Lewis, Ellery, Billy. He really he cares about them. He wants them to feel that inspiration and that hope.
Yeah. But yeah, I think there's definitely like informal features, but it would have been wrong to say this text was like completely or very informal, because it's not, based on like the context of it.
Definitely way more formal, and it has to be because of the significance of such an event.
Yeah.
I cannot say that this is an informal text. It has moments of informality. Thank you, Kulesh. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Michael. Thank you for your dedication and your persistence. Good luck for your subjects, guys. Absolutely. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, what someone said about it humanizes the patients, makes the audience feel like the issue of hearing is more important. Yeah, absolutely. Emotional investment. Exactly that. Exactly that.
Absolutely. 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 So, you know, pointers to discuss in this AC, right? If I'm systematically thinking, like, you know, spontaneous, not really, you know, we're still a pre-planned acceptance speech. Actually, we don't look. It is still an acceptance speech, right? So a significant, culturally significant acceptance speech at the NIDOC Awards, right? Delivered by a surgical professor, Kelvin Wong, right? And I would say a Warimi man, at the, is it 2025? I don't know when it's from.
I feel like it was
Oh
2020.
no, 2023. It's older, right? At the 2023 NIDOC Awards. Okay. You know, I would say something like it exemplifies how spoken. You know, it exemplifies how Kelvin utilizes this, you know, at the same time, there's a referential function to inform the audience about these ideas and the necessity to help his community. There's some rapport building, there's phatic language there. I don't think there's anything connotative unless he's saying or encouraging them to do something. You know, I look forward to having a dance with everyone. Thank you. That's phatic. The laughter, so it's referential and phatic. Is there anything more than that alongside referential and phatic? I'm so happy and overjoyed. Emotive, right? Definitely emotive language. Emotively uses referential function, referential, phatic, emotive. I would say predominantly these three emotive functions, right? At the same time, it's, you know, generally a sophisticated and formal speech with some informed delivery and language. There's still some complex syntax in there, right? And if we kind of break it down, field of health inequity, First Nations struggles, maybe there's some about Australian culture, right? Maybe there's, you know, medical semantic field, right? In general, the audience, majority Aboriginal or Torres Strait Islander people, but many Australians around the country watching, right? Or will take note. It's not a small event. Relative power wise, relative power roles, relationships wise, right? Kelvin is delivering a monologue, so it's just him, right? Which means all the relative power is with him, right? he is the predominant topic manager and predominant floor manager, right? He decides what we talk about and how we talk about it, right? And the audience plays small roles like laughing or applause. And then in terms of, again, register, fluctuates, but mainly formal. And to be more specific, a formal register suited to an award ceremony, a significant national award ceremony. Mode, spoken. The setting, where is it actually exactly set? In Australia somewhere, I'm assuming, guys, right? New South Wales?
NAIDOC ceremony?
Yes,
No.
NAIDOC Awards ceremony in Australia. Purposes, heaps from, I guess, promoting, or, in a way he expresses his gratitude and builds rapport, establishes or reinforces his credibility, and urges the community to act in support to overturn health inequities, right? What else, guys? I'm having a brain freeze. Help me out.
Okay. Oh, in regards to like kind of, I guess, aside from our farms SBCT, we also have quite an interesting thing, and a student picked this up, and it's quite in line with the function shifts. Is that when we get to sort of this more emphatic function, or this kind of like, I guess, emotive retell about two of the patients and their children. I think this was really nice. You could shape a paragraph around it. It's kind of roughly between lines 40 and 55, or kind of 59. And it's almost, whilst our spoken texts, and they're always going to feel like just one thing, right? You don't have massive bolded subheadings to tell you that they're moving on to different sections. We can really see, and quite in line with the audience's attitude of a pause, we have kind of, here's some operations I do and the stories. And I think that things like the facts and the declaratives and the pronouns and the sentence structures and stuff like that, and even like the emphasis and the filled pauses are quite intentional in these elements, a really nice place. And I'd be curious if anyone decided to structure a paragraph around that, almost taking a bit of a chronological approach, because this text has quite an interesting structure that feels quite locked in the way that it sort of manages the topic in particular. It's like topic shifts and stuff like that, which is definitely relevant.
Yeah, and absolutely. It was kind of like the perfect transcript to fluctuate between paragraphs that were either chronological or subsystem based or function and purpose based. You could have even split it up to him discussing professional things, him discussing cultural things, him discussing personal things, right? So remember, it didn't matter how you chopped up your AC. What matters is that by the end of it, how much of a spread did you guys cover? Tell us in chat. I'm also curious to know, like Samri and Carice, Asha, Kevin, Bamsida, who else is here? Oh, that's all.
We have dwindled in numbers. I think with this text, what's interesting as well is because we've only got one person, but there's still like rising and falling intonation. And like, I feel like a lot of students, and me included, only ever analyze this as like floor sharing and holding. But, it's a little bit different in a situation where you've only got one person talking. So it would be interesting to see if any of you guys, like, how did you approach prosodics? Because it's part of spoken discourse features that we want to talk about. Actually, I feel like I got some of the transitions well, but found it a little hard to chop up exactly with the whole thing being a run on.
For sure. I understand. And, I mean, the lengthening of the sounds, amazing work. It's quite a natural speech, right? He's almost projecting sincerity. Let me write this stuff down, right? Natural speech, projecting sincerity, rather earnestly, right? Oh, There we go. Right. Falling. He goes up and down in pitch, to kind of modulate him being done with one idea and starting the next. He's quite engaging. I think he's a good speaker. He's almost got an emotive prosody of gratitude and admiration, at the same time. All of this links to the phatic function, the laughter sequences, right? Laughter sequences, which are vocal effects, which you had to have discussed at some point, hopefully, right? Lengthening of sounds to reflect, even passion and emphasis, and even slowing down the pitch. Sorry, when he says the appalling health statistics. Oh, I've spelled that wrong. Right? When he says appalling health statistics, he says that with slow tempo. But then when he says when he says some other things with fast tempo, so it's almost like emotional fluctuation between ideas, right? Important.
Yeah, it's when he says like, and I'm accepting this award. So it's oh wait, hang on.
Absolutely.
A is fast, right? It's that loud.
So values of empathy, unity, and professionality these are quite common things, right? And at the same time, in terms of the morphology and the lexicology, again, that same type of emotive, inclusive language. But we got to keep in mind, he's an Indigenous community leader and he's a medical professional. Indigenous community leader plus surgeon plus professor plus he's just the guy. You know what I mean? So he's got all these dimensions to him. If you're going to look at the word classes, there's a lot of adjectives he uses. Adjectives, positive connotation, right? Positive politeness is huge, but then at the same time, negative adjectives, like appalling, right? So he has to play both sides of the coin. And like a bunch of you were talking about that two-edged sword or the double-edged sword comment, right? That is a metaphor, right? Or sorry, an idiom rather, right? A double-edged sword is an idiom to express the depth of insert concept, right? Anything else poignant?
I think just for his identity as well, like as a father, he mentions that at the end, like my family at home, my kids at home, and like, it's almost like a callback to how he's talking about these kids who he's like not related to at all and who are his patients earlier on, and then like finishes off with or talks about how awful it is that the kids of the community are suffering. And then like it's clear that his work is influenced by the love he has for not only his broader population, like the people in his community, but also his kids at home. And I think that could be definitely something that's in there as well, and like an emotive function as well.
Absolutely, right? Absolutely, without a doubt. Beautiful. They reference elders. It's that kinship, the values of kinship as well. And again, you could have talked about sentence structures, from the simple sentences to the compound sentences to maybe some sentence fragments here and there. There was a lot to discuss. I mean, I like it actually. I think it's quite a complex and rich transcript. I don't see the hate, to be honest. Let's do a quick ELP style breakdown of the prompts, scrutinize them a little. You guys on? Do you guys want to do it?
Yep, let's do it.
So down.
All right. If you guys want to do it, man, go for it.
Okay.
Go.
All right, let's look at 6. Language used in contemporary Australian society can cause both social equality and social separation. All right, what is social equality and what is social separation? And also, has this always been causing social equality? Always been causing causing social separation? And what about, does contemporary Australian society language cause like one over the other? Is one more important than the other? That's all I got so far. I'm gonna keep cooking.
Is it causing, like, is it doing it at the same time? Can it do it simultaneously? Can it do it with different groups of people? Like, is it causing social equality with some and social separation with others?
Yeah, it's the same language. Yeah.
And is social separation a bad thing? So you can say it's important to have in-groups and feel like you belong in a community and use language to shape identity in that sense, but also bad in the broader community sense as well.
And also, is it even successfully causing social equality, or does it equally cause social, disagreements and separatism from one another, or potentially even prejudice, right? If these were the complex ideas that I think if you could touch on, you would have performed really well. As long as these were answered through your examples. What about prompt 7, guys? Changing societal norms and technologies influences our linguistic norms.
This is the one I would have done for sure. So starting off with changing societal norms, are we talking about the egalitarian Australian, PC language, moving towards equality? Technologies, like we want to talk about social media, we want to talk about globalization as well.
Or even like ever-evolving reading of prejudice, whether through social media or as an anti-immigration sentiment or anti-ethnolect sentiment, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of fascist movements popping up, right?
Yeah,
and
how does
yeah, go.
No, go on. No, you go.
I was going to say, how does this intertwine with technological influence, right?
With linguistic norms, are we talking overt, covert, both, neither? Like, is it affecting one over the other? Like, we could say for sure that social media affects our covert norms more than our overt norms, because some people who are older don't even use social media. Like, what sort of technologies are exclusive to certain social groups?
So what sort of technologies are specific to certain groups? And when they say changing societal norms and technologies, what do we mean by technologies? I mean, you know what I mean? Technologies in and of itself is potentially quite vague. Are we talking about our Wi-Fi is getting faster? Is it specifically social media? Is it specifically, arguably our technology is getting better so that we can fly to different countries faster and take ideas back and forth. So, I think this is the space for ambiguity. Probably really just leaning into social media, but they haven't said that. They've said technologies. What else could they mean?
I should have said it's contemporary social changes, which makes more sense because I was wondering why they were talking about norms and norms. Yeah. Also, technologies, we could talk about like AI, the rise of, clankers and whatnot. Like
exactly. And I think that's what they're getting at. I think they wanted students to talk about AI here. What did you say? Did you say plank? Wait.
Clanker. It's like there's like a slur towards people using AI.
Slur for robots and artificial intelligence software. Oh man, that's fantastic.
Yeah, isn't that great?
Yeah. Slur for
I actually already feel scared saying it. Like that's where it's at. Like slurs are such a fascinating like Englang concept, but so difficult to talk about properly. But anyway, yeah. AI was in one of the stimulus material. Yes.
Beautiful.
Awesome.
Beautiful. And when they say again linguistic norms, is it linguistic norms among who? Which age groups? Or which demographics? And then finally, non-standard varieties construct identity, and to what extent? Wait, I mean, is that? Let me just double check that that's the complete prompt. That doesn't sound.
It doesn't sound prompt. It says.
Non-standard varieties of Australian English support the construction of identity.
Wow, that is
Right.
basic.
It is basic.
That is so basic. My gosh.
It-
Boring.
yeah,
No, I
yeah,
love
to
it.
some extent. I mean,
Yeah, it is exactly what like that is the essay topic we want everyone to be able to answer. So
Right.
hopefully people felt good.
you know, non-standard varieties, all types.
Anything. That could be literally anything. Like age, that could be like slang, or that could be if different, like ethnolect, AAE, you could have picked like technology, language, whatever you wanted.
Yeah.
Literally
I
anything.
wonder like what could be our like rebuttal. So when does non-standard variety not support the construction of identity?
And I would have talked about authenticity, right?
Hmm.
Might not construct authentic identities if
Yeah.
used dubiously or as a facade, which is, you know, that's the topic I love always talking about.
Yeah, I would have talked about like adults using teen
Yeah.
speak, probably.
Can speak to fit in,
Yeah, I
right?
agree.
Teachers talking about 6, 7 to connect with the youth, right? Whatever it might
Even
Wow.
like the anti like the Lulu knows the Lulu kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one.
be.
Interesting. Or like the joke was the Italian one. I know a lot of you guys are familiar with. Right about that one a lot.
The joke falls flat on its face when inauthentically utilized. Or like Italian brain rot doesn't necessarily construct identity for everyone. Sometimes it's just funny shit to say. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. Kevin says Seb never do that shit again. Yeah. Look, fair exam. I don't mind. Fair exam. I've got, payment is my rebuttal. It's like, it's like at the same time, it's like, sure, it supports the construction of identity. Sometimes it can destruct the identity you are working so hard to create if it doesn't come natural, right?
Speak, Therese.
I forgot to put stimulus material. My essay. How many marks would I lose?
Wait, you didn't put any stimulus material?
No, I forgot.
That's okay. I think examiners a lot of the time try to look for instances where something you talked
One of
about.
the stimulus materials was like about specifically politicians using teen slang, and I talked about senator payment.
Okay,
That's like very
you
close
should be
to
fine
it.
then.
Okay.
You should be fine. I think there might be an argument in the examiner's room by the end of it. Your paper might go to a third because your essay might have different marks. Ultimately, they'll give you the benefit of the doubt if you have a complete essay.
Okay, thank you.
But I wish you didn't forget. I'll put it that way.
Yeah.
Any other remarks, guys? Thoughts, feelings? Go for it.
For question 7, whatever it was, I took 3 words out of the stimulus and then put that into my paragraph as a quote. But I didn't use the stimulus as itself, if that makes sense.
That's fine. That's fine. Did you put brackets, stim B? Stim
Yeah, no, so I wrote something and then as part of my analysis, I put in quotes and then took a few words out of the stim and just chucked it in there. But it didn't directly connect to the stimulus.
Yeah, that's fine. As long
So your
as you
stimulus, your stimulus quote was supporting your own argument. Is that correct?
Yeah, somewhat.
That's
put
fine.
what we want, and as long as you put brackets, stim B or something to make it really obvious. that
Okay.
using
Alright.
stimulus.
All right, thanks.
Abby, Chloe, thoughts?
Yeah, no, that sounds like the perfect way to that's kind of how you want to embed a quote, ideally. Yeah. I thought this was a nice exam. Yeah, nice exam. I'm sure you guys all did really well. Yeah, my main thing to say is that it's so easy to now just as the days go on, if you think about this exam, you'll probably start to realize, oh, I did this bad. Oh, I did this bad. Oh, I did this bad. And kind of be crippled by some make-believe lack of performance. Do not do that. after a year of incredibly fun teaching, and I hope incredibly fun time doing English language, at least on the weekends, at least, hopefully, just now forget about it until December 12th or whenever results are coming out. It's my
Cool.
best bet. Otherwise, you'll just freak yourself out.
Well done, guys. Incredible
Yeah,
work.
it's the same thing. Like, it's like you can look at this. This is more for the year 11s. You can look at this and be like, oh, I could have written that, but like you can't change it. So like, just go to sleep and know that you did your best, and that's okay. Don't even worry.
Absolutely.
No, nice exam.
Um,
Yeah,
Well
see,
done.
stop it, guys. You're doing it already. No, like, I'm the worst.
And like what we say isn't like necessarily what your weird examiner is going to think. They might really love your writing. You don't know. You never know.
it's
Plus,
true.
like you guys all have other exams to do, so like this is the hard way to